Yo, what's up everyone? Sir Toby here, back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about how to craft a +2 physical spell skill scepter, um, either for trappers or for just, physical conversion builds, maybe something like Blade Vortex. There's different levels to this craft, so first I will talk to you about just how to get +2 as a base level, as easy as possible. Then about a scepter that looks exactly like this one that I have here in my inventory, which is one that I crafted for myself for my seismic trap character, and then I'm going to go over how to craft a scepter that could, be considered Mirrortier, and how that would work in this league. So first, let's talk about the easiest way to craft a +2 scepter that doesn't really have anything else, and that is to buy a fractured +1 physical spell skill scepter. I think they're usually going for like 100 chaos to a divine currently, depending on the item level and the implicit. So if you just want like a very basic scepter to start out with, that is probably your best bet. And then you would spam fossils on this scepter, and according to the calculator here, the best way to do it would be the corroded, jagged, metallic, and shuddering, and then you would hope that you have an open suffix or that you get decent suffixes. And if you have an open suffix, you can craft prefixes, cannot be changed, scour your scepter, and then multimod the scepter to get two more modifiers that you want. But this is like the most basic version, but it's probably the cheapest version as well. So just +2, this way you can probably get in like 3-4 divines. Alright, so let's talk about the way that actually needs, effort to craft other than just buying the fracture +1 physical spell skill and then spamming fossils. Which is to start out with a scepter like this, and then to craft it out from there. So first let's take a look at PvDB and the modifiers that scepters have available, and then see which item level we want. So first of all, we can see that +1 all spell skills needs item level 55, and +1 all physical needs item level 2, so that only means we need item level 55 here. And then the rest of the modifiers we don't really care about, because we're going to multimod this scepter, and then in the end slam it with a Redeemer orb. And if we take a look at the Redeemer modifiers, we can see that there are two modifiers that we want on our scepter, which is spells have chance to deal double damage, or ideally, this one is way better than spells have chance to deal double damage, the hatred increased aura effect. Now, because of that, we only need item level 80. So item level 80 is probably the ideal one. 81 works as well, but if you go up to item level 82, you add another modifier to the pool in the last step where we slam the Redeemer orb onto our scepter. So ideally we want item level 80 or 81, and then if we go back up here, because our first step is to alteration spam for the incredibly low weighting +1 level of all spell skill gems, item level 80 is the ideal item level to make that step as easy as possible, because there's a bunch of modifiers that get added to the pool on item level 81, such as this weapon elemental damage, or 82 adds flat cold and stuff like that. Same with 83 with these modifiers, or just mana on 81. So keeping the scepter on item level 80 makes it a lot easier to alteration spam for +1 level of all spell skill gems. So we go for an item level 80 alternating scepter, and then we spam alterations until we hit +1 to level of all spell skill gems. Now, while alteration spamming, it can happen to you that you also have a suffix modifier. So how do we get rid of the suffix modifier? We could just annul right now, but then we run the risk of losing this +1 all spell skill gems, and because on average it's like 2,000 to 3,000 alterations to get the level of all spell skill gems, it's advisable to first go into the menagerie and use a Krakic Chimeral Beast to imprint your item, so that you can restore it to this state after your Orb of Annulment. So we have a suffix that we don't want, we annul. In this case we hit, which is just a straight up 50-50 to hit. So we don't need this imprint anymore, and we can move on to the next step, which would be to make this scepter rare, so that we can use the harvest augment physical, and that we can craft 3 suffixes to make this augment possible. So next step is to once again go into your bestiary, imprint again. So this might, all of these imprints cost 100 chaos, but in my opinion they're worth it. So you imprint again, then you regal orbit, you get something that you don't care about, you annul. This time it didn't hit, so we apply our imprint, we imprint again, so not to lose this +1 all spells, you regal, you get some, well, in this case you can probably just sell it like this is, but you're never really going to hit +1 lightning, so this is like an incredibly rare outcome. As you can see, that's a 0.12% chance to regal on a +1, but that's never going to happen to you in real life, so I'm just going to assume this is a trash prefix. We're going to annul again, didn't hit, we imprint, boom, we regal, it's mana, remove, and now we have the scepter that we want to continue crafting. Alright, so from this point we want to slam on a physical prefix. Well, we have the cannot roll attack modifiers benchcraft on there to block a whole bunch of so this cannot roll attack modifiers has to be on there, prefixes cannot be changed has to be on there, because the harvest craft now removes a random modifier as well from the item. So to protect our +1 all spell skills, we need prefix cannot be changed, and then to give us any chance of augmenting physical and getting the +1 all physical skill gems, we need the cannot roll attack modifiers. So if we go back to the PoEDB, we can see that all these things here with physical, that have the physical tag that we could slam on with a physical augment, also have the attack tag. So that means if we just block attacks, we cannot roll any of the physical attack modifiers here. We cannot roll any of the leech modifiers, and the only modifier that remains is, oopsie, this Lithomancer's modifier with a physical tag and no attack tag. So we're going to the crafting bench, and this step costs 5 divines. So we craft, can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, we craft prefixes cannot be changed, and we craft cannot roll attack modifiers. So at this point you then use the harvest augment physical. So you just boom, put that on there, and you end up with +1 level of all physical spell skill gems. So at this point you can just multimod it as is pretty much. So you would remove your bench crafts, boom and boom, and then you would craft 3 modifiers, can have up to 3 crafted modifiers again. You craft prefixes cannot be changed again. No, you don't actually. Wait, you don't do that. You just craft can have up to 3 crafted modifiers. You craft the prefix spell damage. So the crafted modifiers that you want basically. So in the case of my seismic trapper, I wanted this modifier, which gives spell damage, gain % of non-chaos as extra chaos, because I converted all my physical to first cold damage and then half of my cold damage to fire damage. So this non-chaos as extra chaos was actually quite a lot of chaos damage. Might be different in your build. If you only convert once, it might be better to just straight up craft spell damage or something, or I don't know, one of these other mods like cold as extra chaos or something. Maybe, I don't know what your exact build wants, but you will probably have to just put it in POB. For my trapper, this is what I wanted. And then trap throw speed on the suffix, if I could find it. There it is. So this is, as you can see now, almost the scepter that I have in my inventory here. The only thing it's missing is the hatred aura effect, which in my scepter's case is tier 2. So this last step now is to just go and get a Redeemer Exalted Orb, and we only have one chance at this, and to slam this Redeemer Exalted Orb. And if we go back into the PoEDB, you can see that there is a 1000 waiting to hit cold exposure on hit, which, you know, that's not great, especially on a trapper. For you, it might be fine, so you don't have to, you know, manually apply cold exposure or something, but for the trapper, it doesn't really work, it doesn't really do anything. Something that you do want is these spells have chance to deal double damage. That pretty much works for everyone that is using spells. That has 1000 weighting. That the Hatred Aura effect has 1000 weighting in total as well. So that is 2000 out of a pool of 5000 to get something that you want. And this movement speed, I guess, if you hit it, it's not bad if you're Blade Vortex. But if you're a Trapper, you hit, never hit. Like the you have hit never applies to you. So yeah. Maybe it's like a 3000 or 5400 to be decent for you. But you can't really influence this any further where to, you know, in a way that, you know, whoops, would make it work for make it work every time. So in this case, for example, it slammed on movement speed if you've hit an enemy recently. This time it would be spells have chance to deal double damage. So all of these are pretty much 10% chance to get any of these modifiers. This one is cold exposure, this one is cast speed, and you would just, you know, have to get lucky to get the hatred effect, or spells have chance to deal double damage in this last step. Pretty sure that you can sell scepters like these for at least your crafting cost, especially on alternating scepters, because people are not really you know, crafting these right now. It seems like I sold 2 of these. So I sold my old scepter, old alternating scepter from my trapper that looks exactly like this scepter for I think 45 divines, and it cost me like 12 divines to craft or something stupid like that. The only reason I was selling it was to, you know, liquidate my trapper basically. But for some reason these alternating scepters are selling really well, and I don't think that you should spend like 45-50 divines on a scepter that you can craft in, you know, 14 to 15 divines if you're unlucky. So yeah, that's the way to craft the, what I would call, you know, high medium tier, medium to high tier scepter. Now the steps to craft the Mirrortier scepter are pretty much the same. So you would again start from you know, making the item rare, and then slamming on the +1 all physical spell skill gems on there. So the steps are exactly the same until you get to this step. So you have the +1 all spell again, and the +1 physical spell skill again, without any crafted modifiers. And then you would go to the crafting bench and you craft prefixes cannot be changed. At this point you go into Betrayal and Aisling Slam, and you want a veiled prefix. So in this case it's a veiled suffix. So you once again craft prefixes cannot be changed. You would scour, prefix cannot be changed. Again an Aisling, veiled suffix, prefix cannot be changed. Scour, you know, prefix cannot be changed. Aisling, now you have a prefix. Now you have to pray to get one of these spell damage prefixes. There is nothing really that you can do to you know, help this. If you don't get any you know, any of the spell prefixes, you have to remove the modifier and go again. So in this case there is no spell modifier, but there is one attack modifier, which is increased physical damage. So we just take this, then we and then to save this we can use the cannot roll caster modifiers mod to protect our +2, and then we can just annul off the attack damage prefix. So you would craft cannot roll caster modifiers, you would annul this, cannot roll caster modifiers, annul, until you hit the physical. Surely it will error at some point. Okay, Jesus Christ. So, as you can see, it's technically a 50-50, but the emulator said we just need 12 tries now. But that's how you would remove this one then. And then you would go again, craft prefix cannot be changed, Isling Slam, prefix, unveil, and then you would do that until you get, let's see, till you get one modifier that you can use. So, something like this. So this is the way to get your prefixes for your Mirrortier scepter. As you can see, that's not exactly great, and it's going to be really, really expensive. Like, you can probably pay like 50 to 100 divines to get to this step. Something stupid like that. So next is the question is, which suffixes do you actually want on your Mirrortier scepter? Do you need cast speed? Because if you need cast speed, you obviously have to first get an item level 83 base instead of 80. In my case, for the Trapper, I would probably want something like Global Critical Strike modifier multiplier. So I wouldn't have to go with an 83 scepter. So in this step, I just want a Critical Strike multiplier. So we would craft, because all of these are caster mods, we can do this. We would craft cannot roll caster modifiers. We would go into harvest and we would augment critical. So boom. Oh, I guess this does not respect meta mods. That's crazy. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, actually you have to do prefix cannot be changed. That's crazy. So today I learned it does not respect meta mods in that way apparently. So you would have to craft prefixes cannot be changed and slam on crit. I thought you could use this to block, block something like critical strike chance for spells. But I'm gonna go with the emulator is correct here and does not in fact prevent the removal of any of these modifiers. So you would slam, get tier 4 critical strike multiplier, craft prefix cannot be changed, scour, prefixes cannot be changed, harvest, critical augment, boom, tier 4 critical strike multiplier, prefixes cannot be changed, scour, prefixes cannot be changed, harvest, critical, boom, critical, tier 4 5 critical strike chance for spells, garbage, I don't want that, prefixes cannot be changed, boom. And you would do that until you hit your desired tier 1 suffix. So in the case of Global Critical Strike multiplier, that is 1 in 18, I think, or 1 in 19-ish, to hit tier 1 Global Critical Strike multiplier. So because you have the, this critical strike chance, the increased critical strike chance, you have the critical strike chance for spells, and you have the critical strike multiplier here that you can get in the end. So yeah, you would do that until you get your where is it? Critical. So you have critical strike chance for spells, which is 6 tiers of 1000. You have critical strike chance for spells, which is 6 tiers of 1000. Then you have the critical strike multiplier that has a critical tag with 6 tiers with 1000 weighting each. So it's a 1 in 18 to get this modifier using this method. So at this point, you're pretty much done with your scepter, and you have to hope and pray once again that your Redeemer Orb will not screw you. So if we look at the Redeemer Orbs, and for the Mirrortier Scepter, we obviously only want Hatred Aura effect. So we're already, because we're using an item level 80 Scepter, as I said, we don't have to worry about this auras from your skill grant increased damage. And then we can block a further 2000 weighting out of the 5000 weighting pool by crafting cannot roll caster modifiers. So we would block the craft ENP. We would block the cannot roll caster modifiers, and then we would Isling Slam for +1 tier 1 hatred. That is a 1 in 6, I think, to get. And in this case, your entire Mirrortier scepter would, I mean, it's not like completely bricked, you can probably still use this or sell this, but you would have to start over from scratch at this point, because getting the Hatred Aura effect you have one shot at. So in this case, you would have had tier 5, tier 2 Hatred Aura effect, so this would be like one tier away from a Mirrortier scepter. And then this is what you want, the 34 to 40% increase aura effect. And those are all pretty much like a 16% chance to slam on. So I think this one is 500 out of 3000 total weighting to get the Hatred Aura effect. And that's how you would craft what I would consider a Mirrortier scepter. Because this is going to be really expensive, so each time to put on this global critical strike multiplier is about 5 to 7 divines, so that is times 18, it's about 120, 130 divines to just get this tier 1 critical strike multiplier on average, and then you have a 1 in 6 to slam on the Hatred Aura effect, and then as a last modifier you can just craft something on, I don't know, you're a trapper, you would, I guess, go again with trap throwing speed. And then to get this prefix is going to be really, really, really annoying, and really expensive as well, because you always have to like craft prefixes cannot be changed, scour prefix cannot be changed again, and then Iceling, which is also 5 divines per try just from the meta mods and the Iceling as of right now. So yeah, I hope this is interesting for you when it comes to crafting a scepter and how to actually get to Mirrortier this league. There's probably, some kind of scepter out there that people would want that is better or different from this and you would consider Mirrortier, so maybe you don't want the critical strike multiplier, but instead a different modifier, like cast speed or something. But that is pretty much what I would want for Mirrortier for my trapper scepter. Technically, I guess you could get tier 1 spell damage on the prefix, but that seems pretty much impossible if we go into the weightings here and look at the tier 1 spell damage. It has a weighting of 40, which is literally worse than the +1 all spells, which is a weighting of 50. So, good luck slamming that on. Good luck getting that in any reasonable way. So, I don't think that is going to happen. And the only way to really that I could see that you could maybe make that work would be to fossil spam on a fractured base, and then you wouldn't get the Hatred Aura effect on the suffix. So yeah, if you could somehow get tier 1 spell damage on this prefix, then you would technically have a better scepter probably than the veiled modifier, and that would then be Mirrortier. But yeah, I don't really know how you would reasonably do that without recombinators or something, which, those are gone. So anyways, hope you learned something about crafting, just as I did, that cannot roll caster modifiers does not block the harvest augments apparently, so, that's interesting. So yeah, if you have any questions about scepters like these, leave them in the comments, I'm gonna try to answer them, and thank you for watching, and bye!